You're 30, single, and wondering why? And I used to be on that same path until I figured it out. You've been dating for over a decade, had multiple relationships, but somehow you're still alone. Let me tell you exactly what's happening. You've spent your 20s finding yourself and prioritizing your career over relationships. You thought you had all the time in the world, so you were picky about the wrong things. You rejected good men because they weren't exciting enough, didn't make enough money, or didn't fit your unrealistic checklist. Meanwhile, you gave your best years to men who were never going to commit. Now you're 30 and your biological clock is ticking, and suddenly you want what you spent a decade rejecting: stability, commitment, and a family. But here's the harsh truth: the high value men you want are now dating women in their early 20s. The good men you rejected, they're married to women who appreciated them when you didn't. You can either keep wondering why this happened to you, or you can learn from the patterns that got you here. Time doesn't wait for anyone.
Do you know what keeps a lot of women in mediocre relationships? A myth. The myth of scarcity. As a divorce lawyer, I see it all the time. Women settling for less, not because they don't know what they deserve, but because somewhere along the way they were told that good men are like limited edition handbags. Rare, hard to find, and if you don't grab one now, even if it's scuffed and overpriced, someone else will. That belief is not only false, it's dangerous. Because when you believe that there are no good men left, you start lowering your standards just to keep someone. Anyone. You stay with the guy who's emotionally lazy, the one who can't communicate unless he's cornered, the one who treats love like a reward you have to earn instead of something you're already worthy of. You stay because you think, at least he's not cheating, or at least he comes home at night, or worse, maybe this is just how men are. And that mindset turns into a slow erosion of your joy, your goals, your self-respect. Scarcity is a strategy. It's been used for centuries to control women, to convince us that our worth is in our ability to keep a man and not in our ability to choose the right one. And it's why you'll see women gaslight themselves into staying. We rewrite red flags into quirks. We shrink our needs to appear easygoing. We romanticize crumbs because we're scared we'll never get the cake. The problem isn't that there are no good men. The problem is that we were taught to believe that we don't deserve to wait for them. That if he's decent, that's enough. Stop operating from fear and start choosing from freedom.
A lot of women dream of a wedding, but never think about a marriage. They find an average-looking man with an average job, and that's fine for her as long as she gets a fat rock to brag about it on social media and to her friends. The sensation of being desired by a man and envied by women and happiness in all of the attention that she's getting to being newly engaged. She feels like all of her dreams are coming true because everyone has always told her that marriage is the best day of her entire life. So she is excited about the wedding. She romanticizes the married life. She spends months, if not years, planning, and she's getting all of the attention through all of the planning, all of the design, the trips, the parties. She's obsessed with the attention that she's getting from being a fiance and eventually having her wedding day. In fact, her wedding becomes her entire identity, where she might even lose a couple friends because even her friends get tired of hearing about the wedding, but she doesn't care because she's dreamed about this for her entire life. And then poof, it's all gone. The excitement, the love, the romanticizing. She's married. There's no more attention. There's no more excitement. There's no more fulfillment in the future because the future is here and it's boring. No more late night with the girls, no more single life, no more partying. Just get up, work, pay your bills, be an adult, and it's boring. It's mundane. She rolls over, looks at her husband, and realizes that this is not the man that she married. So she starts to think to herself, like, I need a baby. I need to fill this void. I need more excitement. And the crazy part about it is in this quest for attention and happiness, she'll look at her husband and start to think that maybe he's the reason that she's so unhappy because she married wrong. But nope, she'll still decide to have that baby. One, because she still is in love with her husband. And two, because she's so desperate for that hit, that dopamine hit of attention that she's going to get for being pregnant. So she becomes pregnant. She gains all of the attention for carrying a child. Then she's back on that dopamine hit, the attention, the belly rubs, the checkups. Her husband's giving her more praise and more attention. She's getting attention online. She's having the maternity shoot. She's having the baby shower. And she's right back to the beginning where all of the attention is on her all of the time. In fact, she's glamorized motherhood so far that she thinks that she's going to look like these celebrities that has her shit together all of the time, and her house is clean as if she has maids, and all of these things are just going to fall into place. And she's happy about that. But then what happens? She has that baby. There's no more attention. There's no more validation until she becomes a struggling married woman where everything is difficult and it's all her husband's fault because he's working too much, even though she begged for this baby. So now she's crying on the internet about her hormones and how she's all alone, and she soaks herself up in social media advice smothered in, your husband dislikes you if, or he's cheating no matter what, and she starts to believe it, and her neurotic behavior becomes her entire identity in her relationship with her husband. She's lonely, bored, she's uninspired, being a mom isn't what she thought it was, motherhood isn't what she thought it was, and everything that she has ever dreamed of and begged for suddenly seems mundane and unfulfilling because she's getting no attention for basically being an adult. No one really cares that she had kids. So she's away from that dopamine hit, that attention, that validation, the stuff that makes her feel good is no longer there. So what does she do? She starts posting her kids online. She becomes a little mommy influencer. And again, she's using her kids to feel that validation and that attention and fill that void that life is suddenly exciting through likes, attention, and validation from other moms. Even though deep down she's resenting her husband the entire time for leaving whenever he wants and being able to be child free, even though he misses key moments in their kids growing up, but she'll never admit that to herself. She'll never look at him and appreciate him because she feels so resentful that she's not getting the love and care or attention that she deserves. And her husband might even recognize her depression or realize that nothing is filling the void, and he will change everything about himself to cater to her and give her everything that she needs. But what he doesn't know is he can't compete with the instant gratification that she's getting on social media. He doesn't know that he was doomed from the start. He doesn't know that his wife is spending countless hours on social media being filled with garbage about how he's a piece of crap dad and a father that doesn't show up and a husband that does nothing and doesn't fill her emotional needs. And she'll start to believe it. She leaves out the part where she uses all of these things as her primary sources of happiness and uses her husband to fulfill voids, and when he can't, he falls short. So again, he's set up from the start to be letting her down. She's depressed, she's lonely, it's not what she thought it was going to be. And then what happens? All of her friends start getting divorced. They start glamorizing divorce and being single and having fun. And she wasn't thinking about divorce, but now all of a sudden, all of her friends are getting divorced, so she starts thinking about it. And her friend, Susie Q, starts telling her all of the traits of narcissism and all of the toxic behaviors of her ex-husband, and she starts to compare her great financially stable husband to her best friend's ex-husband, and now all of a sudden her great husband is a narcissist. Now she's contemplating divorce. Now she's thinking that the grass is greener on the other side. She sees her friends getting attention and praise for being divorced, for having the empowerment to leave a financially abusive or mentally unstable situation. And she is thinking, oh my God, I want that praise. I want the attention. So leaving my husband is the right thing to do. And she convinces herself that her husband is the problem. So she gets that divorce. She gets the claim that he was abusive and narcissistic. Again, she gets all of the attention and the validation and the dopamine hit that she has had her entire life of people praising her and empowering her for poor choices or making the wrong decision. And she's back in her element because she's getting all of the attention and praise for her divorce. She thinks to herself, it's better this way. She feels like it was all worth it. And she ends up a single mom actually doing it all alone, whereas before she had 50% of help. So she gives up 50% of help for 100% struggle. But it's just the energy and attention she's always needed, and she feels empowered. She's back to herself because she's free. She'll post all over social media that her ex was a narcissist and a piece of crap and all men are shitty. And she'll again get that dopamine hit and that validation from all of the women online that can relate. She'll leave out all of the parts where she never really took her marriage seriously in the first place because all she really wanted was the wedding, not the marriage. She'll leave out the parts where she regrets having children or hates her life choices. Gets more attention than ever, all of the affirmations for being a boss babe queen. She'll transform herself and call herself a queen even though her kids are at home on an iPad not getting any kind of attention or being left with the grandparents or getting a babysitter and there's no real parenting happening. But she's an independent boss babe who's doing it all on her own. She'll get child support, she'll get alimony, she'll have a part-time little job, and her parents will pick up the slack that her ex-husband no longer can fill as the ex. She'll have distasteful behavior, she'll have multiple guys around her kids, she'll talk about situationships and her horrible dating experiences and get all of the validation yet again through her dating experiences and her life. No one bats an eye at the understanding that this is all a cry for help, a need for attention, and the narcissism spewing out. The constant grandiose personality. She'll fake everything along the way, and she'll say that everyone else is the problem, even though she's repeating the same cycle of needing praise and constant attention. She'll never tell you that she made a permanent decision on temporary feelings. She'll end up with multiple baby daddies, multiple guys, being ran through, not understanding why she can't find a good man, crying on the internet about where did all the men go, where did all the good men go, but she doesn't realize that she left the good man out of boredom. She left the good man because somebody was in her ear telling her that it wasn't a good lifestyle. She will look for that good man in every single man that she dates after that. What's crazy is she will literally continue this cycle until she's burnt out, until she's all I hate men, anti-men, cat lady, 45 years old, wondering what happened in her life. She'll wonder what happened in her life without ever having looked in the mirror to make changes to be a better person. The cycle will continue. Okay, bye.
We have all heard the dating myth. The older you get, the less you get. Okay? If you're a single woman over 30, I am sure you have heard this sentiment that you have to hurry up and pick somebody because the older you get, and if you're on the dating market, you're going to get less. They're lying to you. The older you get, the more you get. It's just going to look different than you ever thought it would. When I was growing up as a little girl in Brooklyn, New York, my biggest dream for my life was a New York City apartment in Manhattan. Like, that's what I wanted. But now look at me. I live in a small town in America. I live in a nice house, and I can't even imagine living in an apartment. I mean, I would do it again if I had to, but this life, it just suits me more. I never would have thought I would have married an upcycled husband. Meanwhile, I love my divorcee husband. When I met him, he was so ideal for me. I got so much more because 37-year-old me chose my life partner and not 27-year-old me, not 17-year-old me. I had a chance to grow up and mature. And when we look at some of the most successful men in the world, Jeff Bezos, even though I think Lauren Sanchez, anyway, look at Lauren Sanchez. She's the speed limit. She's 55. She's been divorced multiple times. She has children. But look, one of the wealthiest men in the world wants to be with her, okay? Melody Hobson married George Lucas, I think, when she was 44. Meghan Markle married Prince Harry when she was 36, and she was divorced. My point is this. The older you get, the more you mature, the more your palate is refined, the better you become, the more elevated you are, the more you will get. You will not settle the way that you did when you were younger. So it's not the worst thing to be over 30 and single, okay? You're just getting started at 30. 40, you're cracking the surface, and 50 is lit. So don't let them try to bully you into settling when you're younger and you're watching the clock thinking like, oh my goodness, I'm running out of time. You're just on time because the older you get, the more you get.